It's loading. And we're good. You are ready to go, sir.
I hereby call to order this meeting of the Board of Directors of the Milwaukee Area Technical College. Would you please conduct a roll call?
Sure. Director Case. Director Foley.
Here.
Director Hamilton. Director Mendieta Ramos. Director Mitchell.
Present.
Director Mays.
Here.
Director Olson.
Here.
Director Phelps-Socorro.
Here.
Director Wilson.
It looks to me that Director Mendieta Ramos is on the call, but I don't know if she couldn't hear you or if we couldn't hear her. You want to check her name again?
Director Mendieta Ramos.
Here.
Great. Okay, so we have a quorum. Are we in compliance with the open meeting laws for this meeting?
Yes, we are in compliance with the open meetings law.
We have a very limited agenda today. It's policy reviews. The first is a handbook policy, tuition reimbursement and remission policy. And I believe Vice President of Human Resources, Cheryl Zima, is going to present that to us. I'm seeing the policy, but I'm not hearing anything at this point.
Yeah, that's because I was still muted. So now can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I apologize for that. I forgot that somebody else had to unmute me. I know you are typically accustomed to seeing a policy come through in a redlined version. The reason we did not take that approach this time is that we reformatted the policy as part of this update. So what I did provide was the current policy with just comments on the side so that you had a sense of what was changing. So I don't know if you want me to walk through the policy or if you want to go right to questions.
I think you should give us a summary of what we're doing here and why we're doing it, please.
So MATC has had a tuition reimbursement and tuition waiver policy. The tuition waiver policy has now been renamed to be tuition remission. The tuition reimbursement policy does not have any change to that part of the policy other than some restructuring of how we formatted it. The big change is in the tuition remission. If you want to scroll down to that section, or I guess you can stay right here for now. So the tuition remission is being expanded to include the spouse and their dependent children for courses taken at MATC. Previously, it was only available to our employees. The benefit is 18 credits for the family for academic year and 9 credits for the family if you're a part-time employee. And what happens is that the college will pay the tuition for the approved course on behalf of the participant through our FCC trust interest, the interest from the FCC trust fund. That is the core of what we are adding to the policy. And
can you tell us a little bit about why we're proposing to do this?
The recommendation came forward for a couple of things. One, to be honest, is most colleges offer this type of a policy for their employees and their families. Number two is by using the trust fund interest, we're not using taxpayer dollars. However, all of these courses that employees or their family and their spouse would take are aidable courses, which means that we then get funding from the state through state aid, which adds to our student FTEs as well as to our oh my goodness, revenue. Sorry, couldn't think of the word revenue. So it accomplishes two things. It makes us more competitive on the benefit, and it also helps us with our student FTEs in the long term and short term.
Okay, let's open it up for questions. Again, I can only see a couple of people right now. Let me just see if I can do this. There we go. I'm gonna, I think, just march down the list as I see people here and see if you have any questions. Director Mitchell, do you have any questions about the policy or why this change is being proposed?
I do not. It makes sense to me.
Director Olson?
Yeah, can you skip and come back to me? Sorry, I'm
Sure.
not quite clear.
Okay. Director Mose?
Is there a level where, like I said, I'm only looking at it off the screen, but how do we do, is this all covered at 100%? So does this go off by a grading? Like, does the person need to finish to complete? What happens if they don't finish the program or the class? What happens if they fail the class? Is there some sort of a scale?
Yes, so if you go down to, I don't know who's controlling the screen, go a little bit further down. Okay, stop right there. Oops, stop. So the course obviously has to be approved. And then I'm sorry, you could go down further. I apologize. I'm trying to watch the screen and my screen at the same time. The remission is only for tuition. So people still have to pay the normal college registration fees, et cetera. They have to have a minimum grade of a C. They have to turn in their grade within a month after the course ends to HR. If they resign voluntarily, so that doesn't mean, so it means like I resign to take another job. They will be billed for the course. They do need to complete the course. They need to complete the course on their own time. If otherwise, they will be billed for the course.
Okay.
So they follow the same requirements as any other student at the college.
Director Phelps-Okora?
No, it looks pretty standard.
Okay, and Director Mendieta-Ramos?
No questions.
All right, back to you, Director Olson.
So could you just give me the high level, what the changes are that need to come forward now? I guess I'm trying to get that part of, wrap my head around it.
Yeah, the core changes that we're adding spouses and dependent children to be eligible for remission. And that because it's now a family benefit, we've expanded the number of credits that can be taken for the family from what was eligible for just the employee previously. But everything else follows the same policy and the same process that we already have in place.
And this is a taxable benefit?
It is not, because they're undergraduate courses.
Okay. And this compares to other institutions?
Yes.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have now.
I think one of the,
Mr. Chair?
yes, oh, Mr. Hamilton.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I think my name comes up as something different. So just wanted to let you know I was here.
You wanted to be in the room.
That's right.
We were just seeing if any, going through the entire board, asking if anyone had questions about the proposed changes to the tuition remission policy. And since I didn't know you were here, I skipped over your name. So do you have any questions?
I do not have any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay. I was going to say, I think one of the motivators for this is perhaps a little bit of a boost to morale as well. Is that fair, Cheryl?
I mean, certainly we would hope that would help. We have a number of people who worked on the subcommittee who have children who are signing up for courses waiting for this. And I think we will see a number more signing up because we have a lot of people who are not sending their kids back to their four-year schools, at least for fall right now. So just another benefit for both employees and family members.
Okay.
Hey, this is Director Case. I have a question.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Director.
How are we defining dependents for eligibility?
Yep, it's defined as how you manage it for federal income tax purposes, just as we do for our health benefits if they sign their dependents up for benefits. And employees will be asked to certify that they are covered under the federal tax code. So in other words, they have to claim them on their income tax form.
So if you have a college age student that you're not claiming as a dependent, they would not be eligible.
Correct.
Is this only for current employees?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that dependent definition consistent with other institutions as well?
Yes. Unless you want to tax the benefit, and we do not want to get into a taxable benefit.
And is this going to be effective as of this coming school year semester?
That's what we are hoping for, which is why it ended up coming to this early meeting because our semester starts on Monday, the 24th.
So what is the communication plan to get this out to employees in anticipation of them potentially having dependents sign up for this semester?
There was a short communication to all employees today and our week ahead. And if this is approved by the board, there's communication set to go out first thing in the morning for employees. And we, I don't know when you came on, Director Case, but we do have a number of people who are aware that we're working on this, who are actively waiting to see what happens because right now some of them have already paid for the tuition. So they would get that money back and it would come covered under this if it's passed, if we agree to this.
Got it. Thank you.
Also, some who are waiting to register, waiting to see if this will go through.
Right. Okay.
Do you have, I'm sorry, this is, do you have a percentage of how many are anticipating to participate in this program?
We do not. We have a dollar amount that we've set aside at this point as a target, but we have no idea how many this could impact from a perspective of family members who would take advantage of this.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, because of the fact that this is coming right before the start of the semester, I'm going to ask if there is a motion to approve this change at this meeting without a second hearing or second review at the next board meeting. Is there such a motion?
So moved. This is Director Case.
Motion
Second.
by Case, second by, was that Director Phelps-Okoro?
It is.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Case. We have a second by Director Phelps-Okoro. Any further discussion? There being none, do we need a roll call vote for this or is it sufficient to do a voice vote?
You don't need a roll call.
Yeah, you don't need a roll call. I'm sorry. It'd be a voice vote.
Okay. Then would all those in favor please signify that by saying aye?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion for approval of the policy on tuition reimbursement remission is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have a second policy. Vice President General Counsel Falkenberg, are you going to be presenting this?
Actually, I'm going to turn this over to our interim Title IX coordinator, Mark Felsheim, who I believe is on the call today.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So can we get Nina to have presentation power or whatever, so she can put up a slide? Everybody can hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'll introduce myself for those who don't know. I'm currently the campus executive for the Oak Creek campus, Dr. Mark Felsheim, but I'm also the interim Title IX director. As some of you, I'm sure Dr. Olson's well aware, but others may be aware as well too, the Department of Education came out with new guidelines for how to handle cases of sexual harassment, sexual discrimination. And as a requirement, as part of that, then we had to redo our processes, and we'll have to redo our policy to reflect the new requirements that the government has put in place. Primarily, it revolves around a definition for the policy, revolves around the definition of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. For the process, there are some changes in how we would actually do some of the hearings depending on the type of case. So Nina, can you put that document up? Do you have it ready or? While she's doing that, let me introduce Nina Powell, who is not new to MATC, but is in a new role. She is now the Deputy Title IX Director, and she is also the Manager of Student Complaints. So I'm going to turn it over to Nina, who did most of the legwork on this to explain the changes in the process. And I believe you did get a redlined copy so you can see. And there's actually two policies, CO 200, which is for employees, and then FO 104, which is for students, student services.
Right. So good afternoon, everyone. So we are here to review the two policies that Dr. Mark just mentioned, C0200 for employees and F0104 for our students. They both have the same title, which is Equal Opportunity Harassment and Non-Discrimination, and they both are essentially identical in nature. So the major changes to the policy you will see on pages 1 and pages 2. We have added the Vice President of Retention and Completion, in addition to the Vice President of Human Resources and the Title IX Coordinator, as an individual who students and staff can inquire about the policy to, so they can actually reach out to those individuals if they have questions about the policy. On pages 4 and pages 5 of the policies, you will see footnotes, and those footnotes indicate that the college is in compliance with the 2020 Title IX regulations that were issued by the Office of Civil Rights of the Department of Education, as we currently have an interim process for resolving complaints of harassment and sexual misconduct that includes the new definition of sexual harassment. So on the document that I have presented before you, you will see the new definition for sexual harassment as defined in the new Title IX regulations. So it states that conduct on the basis of sex or that is sexual that satisfies one or more of the following. So you have the first prong where you see the quid pro quo, where an employee of MATC to notify an administrative advisor or faculty member or any member conditions the provision of an aid, benefit, or service of MATC on an individual's participation in unwelcome sexual conduct. So then prong 2, you have the sexual harassment defined as unwelcome conduct determined by a reasonable person to be so severe and pervasive and objectively offensive that it effectively denies a person's equal access to MATC's education program or activity. So also included, you have sexual assault, sex offenses that are forcible, non-forcible, and then also now other examples that are included under the new Title IX definition are dating violence, domestic violence, and you have stalking. So the stalking, the domestic violence, and the dating violence do not necessarily need to meet the severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive criteria as stated here in the definition. So if we were to have a student to file a Title IX harassment complaint, Dr. Mark, as the Title IX coordinator, would review the allegations under this new definition that I have before you to see if the allegations fall within this definition. If the allegations do not fall within this definition, then we would look at the allegations under the definition that is highlighted in the policy C0200 that's before you. Are there any questions?
I'm going to ask the board members if you want to ask a question. Why don't you make sure you're off mute and just identify yourself. If more than one person talks at a time, I'll pick an order. But are there any questions? Okay, I'm hearing none. One more chance. If you're on mute and you were intending to ask a question, please say something now. Okay, I have a couple of questions about this. One is, are we being asked to approve this or give this a first review tonight?
This is, as far as this is a first review today.
Okay. Second question I have is, why is there no definition for sexual assault?
I'm
going to law definition or something else?
I'm going to defer to Chris Decado on that.
Are you able to hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, thank you. Director Foley, to answer that question, the sexual assault is under forcible and non-forcible. And if I may offer a little bit of information on this, what we've done is to back up on May 6th, so the middle of COVID, the U.S. Department of Regulation issued its new gone through the rulemaking process, regulations for Title IX. And so we sought the advice and consult of the National Association of Title IX administrators to help us revise our policies and procedures regarding Title IX so that we are in compliance. The deadline for compliance was August 14th. So what we did was we created an interim procedure for Title IX cases that can be found in our procedures. It was posted and implemented on Friday. Essentially, this policy modifies the definition of sexual harassment insofar as it refers to the Title IX definition in the procedure. So what Nina has referred you to, what's on your screen, and I'm using multiple devices, is the definition that's contained in Title IX that's in the procedure. And the actual procedure has sexual offenses, and it defines it as forcible and non-forcible.
Okay, but I don't think that answers my question. I can't move the screen here, so I don't know what the structure of the outline is, but I'm looking at, wait.
Oh, okay.
The other direction, there you go. Stop. So you've got sexual harassment definition. 1, quid pro quo, has subpoints defining. 2, sexual harassment has subpoints defining. 4, sex offenses, forcible has subpoints defining, although the structure is different. Sexual assault is unique in that there is no explanation of what that means. And frankly, I don't think we can expect students to know unless we tell them. So my question is, why is there no explanation of what is meant by sexual assault in this context at this time?
So to clarify, Director Foley, if you go to the actual procedure, which I don't know if Nina has the ability to share that is not what's before this board for approval. We administratively implemented the procedure last week. It's a 45-page process that includes about 7 pages of definitions. So I can call that up and I'm happy to send it to you and answer any questions that you may have specifically about those definitions.
Well, why don't you send it to me?
Sure.
To absorb that and ask intelligent questions while it's up on the screen isn't going to work. But if this is, that's why I started by asking if we're being asked to approve this now or if it's a first read.
Yeah, and I think if I may offer, and I'm sorry to cut in, this is Janice Falkenberg. I think what may be helpful is we have something on the screen that isn't actually the policy with the changes on it that we're asking the board to approve today. And I think it could be helpful if we put up the actual policy that we're asking the board to approve, because in those footnotes, it talks about the procedure that Chris is speaking toward. And that's the procedure that underlies this policy that has all of the in-depth definitions, the process for how we're going to manage all of these claims once they come in. So again, what we can do is we can certainly send the underlying process, which is the procedure, which is CC 0200, that underlies this policy. And we've chosen not to make a lot of changes to this particular policy because it is not clear whether these new guidelines will actually stay in place based upon the presidential election. So again, I think we're trying to make sure that we're in compliance with the law, and we will always do that. But if things change dramatically after this fall's election, we will be able to then adjust accordingly without making a lot more changes. So.
Okay, so that leads to this. Let me say this back to you and tell me if I'm accurately reflecting what's going on here. The administration issued some sort of new guidelines, demanded immediate compliance, and we're trying to stay on track with that demand for immediate compliance. Is that fair?
That's correct.
Okay. And the second thing is we are being asked to approve this today, not just the first read. Is that correct?
I think we are in compliance because we have our procedure in place. We're just trying to make sure that the policy reflects the procedure, and that's why we dropped the footnote in there. But we are in compliance today. As Chris said, we put the new procedure up on Friday, the deadline by which we were to comply. And so we are in compliance. It's just that we want, if people are going to go to our policy, they will then understand where they need to look next, which is the procedure.
Okay.
I know it's a little convoluted, and I apologize, but we're trying to manage this as best we can.
Okay, having had that discussion, does anyone on the board have any further questions for tonight about this policy? Okay, I'm hearing none. If you've got your video on mute and need a moment, going once, going twice. No questions. Okay, so will this be presented to us at the regular board meeting in September for final approval?
Actually, it'll come to you in August, I believe, because this is the first read. So we'll come back on August 25th, I believe, and for the second review.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have no other agenda items. Is there any other business that may properly be taken up at this meeting? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
For a minute there, I thought everybody wanted to stay.
I'll jump in.
We have a motion from Director Phelps.
Second.
Second from Director Olson. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion to adjourn passes. Thank you all for doing this on short notice, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aye.
Bye.